Hello, my name is Jade, and today I'm going to be talking about the concepts of research justice and research oppression. If you're someone who's interested in finding out more about how you can conduct research in your own community, um, whether that's for a social or political cause that you or your organization is interested in, then hopefully this video would be of help and of interest to you. So, if so, please keep watching. The concepts of research justice and research oppression that I'm going to be talking about today are ones that I learned about through a website called Data Center. And this is taken from the Data Center website. It says that Data Center is a national training and resource center that supports grassroots organizing for justice by building communities' capacity to reclaim, own, and use knowledge to advance social change. Data Center uses research to help move the knowledge and solutions of communities of color and the poor from the margins to the center of decision making. They advocate for research justice to challenge the dominant paradigm that places barriers to communities' ability to access and produce knowledge. I became interested in the concept of research justice when it was introduced to me through my graduate training program. As a counseling psychology major, part of what I'm learning about is how to consume and also produce research in an academic setting. The concept of research justice, however, extends beyond just the production of research in the academic realm. I think to understand research justice the best, first we can talk about research oppression as a concept. So essentially, what research oppression refers to is the fact that when we think about scientific research, most of us have a conventional idea of how that type of information is produced and who it's produced by, who it's produced for, and how it's distributed and who it's distributed to. So, what I mean by all of that is just that in order for information that we use for scientific or political or social causes to be considered credible and to be accepted in the mainstream, oftentimes it has to come from an academic institution like a university or a governmental research institution. So those organizations are basically the ones who get to decide, what areas are going to be studied, how those areas are going to be represented, what the research is going to sound like, and who is going to be able to access it. So, research oppression specifically refers to the many different ways that normal everyday people are really kept out of the process of producing and a lot of times consuming research. So, for example, everyday people who live in the community oftentimes don't have access to research that's produced by governmental or academic institutions. There are different types of barriers that keep community members or lays persons, if you want to call them that, from being able to access the kind of information that's produced by formal institutions. So, an example of some of those barriers include the fact that a lot of times research is privatized. So it exists in a database where only people who have an institutional login or affiliation can access the information. Relatedly, another example of a barrier is a financial barrier where if you want to access the information, sometimes even if you do have an affiliation with an institution, you'll have to pay money in order to access the information. And it's never just a few cents or a few dollars, at least not in my experience from what I've seen. It's usually like maybe $45, $50, $60 to access an article of academic writing. Another limit or barrier to accessing information that is produced by university research programs or governmental research programs is language. And when I say language, I mean the fact that research that's produced by those institutions often contains a lot of very technical wording. So, words that only people who are involved and familiar with that area of study tend to recognize and understand. And that makes it very difficult for the average everyday person to be able to pick up a piece of academic writing and digest it and take from it what they need or what's valuable to them. Other issues that are involved as a part of research oppression, aside from barriers in accessing information, is the production of the information itself. So oftentimes, especially our most marginalized communities, such as poor communities, indigenous communities, communities of color, those individuals often are not directly involved in the conception, the design, the carrying out of research projects. They have no control over the knowledge production about their own community. And as a result of that, the information that is produced is often produced from a biased lens and not necessarily a representation of the target community that fits with the experiences of the target community members. In fact, part of research oppression is addressing the fact that the everyday lived experiences of people in the community, as well as knowledge in the community that has been passed on from generation to generation, is not seen as legitimate information. So something that is really common to hear in educational settings is that, hearing about a topic from a certain person's point of view is considered anecdotal, it's considered biased, and because of that, it's not credible. So the way that Data Center has envisioned the concept of research justice means that there's going to have to be a shift in the way that we view research or knowledge production and the way that we view expertise. So as it stands right now, we view experiential, day-to-day lived experiences of people in the community as lacking legitimacy, and as a result, they lack political power. On the other hand, we view formal institutions like academic research programs or governmental research programs as having all of the legitimacy, and as a result of that, they have the most political power to yield in decision making and public policy making. So the vision that Data Center has in terms of developing research justice is a world where people's day-to-day lived experiences, people's cultural or spiritual knowledge that's passed down, and the mainstream knowledge that exists through universities and governmental institutions, they all occupy the same levels of legitimacy and political power. So that was just a quick introduction to the concepts of research justice and research oppression. If you want to learn more about this, I highly recommend checking out the Data Center website. It's datacenter.org. If you're someone who is part of a community organization that's leading or trying to develop a campaign for a cause that you're passionate about or that's important for your community, the Data Center has toolkits and other practical guides that offer information that could assist you in the causes that you're trying to make a change in. They have toolkits and activities and things on there that are really neat for you to be able to share with other people in your organization or in your community. So let me know in the comments what causes you're passionate about that maybe the concepts of research justice have opened some ideas up for you about how you can research those topics, how you can distribute or gather knowledge about those topics in your community. And just let me know if this video was any interest or help to you, and I hope you enjoyed. Thanks.